Okay, Coco Shane. Guys, I am
Yes.
super excited for this episode. I am absolutely buzzing to welcome the Alne brothers to the show. We've got Jesse and Seth with us today. How are
Yes,
you
sir.
guys? This is amazing.
Dude, we're good, man. We're good. I'm ready. Let's do this thing.
Yes.
So glad
Always
to be
excited.
here, Tommy.
I am excited to have you guys, man. This is an absolute honor. Obviously, Jesse, you've been on the show. This is now your fourth appearance on Let's Get Freaky. But the first time we've got Seth with us today as well. Oh man,
Yes.
this is a dream.
Dude, I'm so happy to be here. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so this is awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me, Tommy.
Thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely.
We was obviously talking before we just started recording, but you guys played a massive part in inspiring me massively back in the day when I was working in my old job. On the way to work one morning, I used to watch. That's when I used to watch a lot of my telly stuff on the phone on the way to work because it was a 2-hour journey. Oh, yeah. And I remember being on the train one day and Squatch, Iowa was there, and I was like, "Download, let's see what this is about." I was getting into the Bigfoot topic, and it just blew my mind. It was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic, and it really inspired me massively. And the fact that I've got you guys here now and we're talking is amazing.
Dude, that means the world just to hear that, like, especially being in a completely different country than us, and like to have that sort of reach from a small state in America, to talk about Squatch, which nobody believed us, for so long, and to have that effect just means the world, and it's extremely humbling. To know that it moved you like that and inspired you, because that's like the best gift to me as a filmmaker, is like to know what we did and put out there is actually like move somebody, and so yeah, that's amazing. That's
one of the blessings that has come out of Squatch, Iowa is the people that have messaged us after watching it and being like, thank you for finally giving me reason to know I'm not crazy. Thank you for finally giving me reason to tell someone, see, I told you that happened, or I told you I saw something. And like, there were so many messages that we got. They're like, I literally had an experience that you guys, talked about in that documentary. And I've not talked about it for years because I didn't want to get judged, by the general public. And there's like, but now I feel empowered to talk about it because you've given it light, you've given it a voice, and that's been like the most rewarding thing. And gosh, we won our first best of feature award for this film, and like the interactions that we've had with people personally far outweigh any award. Because like, dude, I got the award, it's sitting right here on the desk, but we're now having a conversation, an interaction with someone saying, wow, this hit me here, this hit me in this way, I also had that experience, and that weighs so much more in a positive way than any award or any other accolades or anything, so like, it's just like Seth said, for you to be all the way over in the UK and we're over here in Bumhug, Iowa. Most people don't even know where Iowa's at, even people who live in the United States. And you watch our documentary and you're like, dang, what's up? And now you're like, rah, 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 Iowa.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And now I'm talking about starting a GoFundMe, moving over there, staying there forever.
Yes,
that's where we are.
Let's do it, man.
Are you listening, Lois? This needs to happen.
You can't tell her. I'll get there first. I'll get there first, and then we'll worry about that when I'm there. And then
it's a short holiday vacation.
Just give me a few days, and then I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you a part of a documentary with us,
and go to a few Vikings games, and that's it.
It's a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. If I go over there is a chance I'm not coming back. So I'm not even joking. There's a big chance. But with the documentary, I was literally on the London Underground watching your documentary, and I think it opened my eyes to because obviously I've always been fascinated by Bigfoot and stuff like that, and it was always not those small parts of America that you had these encounters. It was always like the Pacific and places like that. Have I said that right? The Pacific.
Yep. Pacific Northwest. Yep.
The Pacific Northwest. That is normally where you heard these things happening. So it was amazing because there's people in the UK that have seen Sasquatch, and I've spoken to people that I believe that have seen Sasquatch, and it's sort of the fact that these things seem to be everywhere, and I found that so interesting watching your documentary. That really opened my eyes to that as well.
And that's like kind of the like obviously the main drive of that documentary was it's like to show everybody, like everybody's like, oh well, Sasquatch isn't going to be in the cornfields of Iowa, you know, they're going to be in the big sprawling mountains. And guess what? Yes, they are. I live in New York mountains now, and they're here too. But it's like no one believes it, so that's why we're like, okay, well, we're going to show you, and we're going to show you that we're not crazy. And I think that's like our approach is, hey, like the first thing you see in that movie is, hey, we're not experts. We don't know what we're doing, and we don't know who these things are. You know, we're just going on what we've experienced and just kind of riding the coattails of what we've been through in the past. And we're just a bunch of simple guys out looking for this. And this is what happened to us, believe it or not, you know. And so I think like you said, that's what touches like me when I hear like it's a place that you least expect activity and you hear it. That's what grabs me. It's like, oh, someone saw Bigfoot in Montana again. Oh, well, okay, I'm not surprised, but that's not a big deal. But someone sees them like walking through the middle of Illinois or Iowa or something like that, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm listening. Like,
Yeah,
I'm intrigued. It's a little more hard to believe, you know. So
do you feel like now, even since Squatch Eye has been out, that the public in general are more accepting that these things are everywhere, or do you think it's a growing subject?
I 100% think it's growing, and it's funny how ever since we made Squatch Iowa, we and again, I am not ever a horn tooter. Like I don't toot my own horn ever, but when we made that movie, nobody was talking about Bigfoot. I think there was one Finding Bigfoot episode where they went like into the hilly part of Iowa. Other than that, there was really no talks. There's reports, yada yada. Now, a couple years after Squatch Iowa, there's all these Iowa Bigfoot hunters and Iowa Bigfoot researchers, and everyone now knows that Iowa has Bigfoot. The Midwest has Bigfoot. So it's absolutely a thing. I'm not saying we're the ones who started it, but it's definitely grown since we put this out there.
Yep, I agree. I was actually on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I was speaking with a guy. The host is from New Orleans, and he's technically directly below us as far as a map is concerned, and in the same time zone as Iowa. And he's like, I never would have guessed that Iowa has Sasquatch, because again, I think the main reason so many people have a difficult time with that is because Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, these kind of states here in the Midwest, we don't have a mountainous, appearance. We don't have a mountainous environment. Yes, when you go to the northeast corner of Iowa, it gets very hilly. There's lots of cliffs, rolling plains, big river valleys, but 95% of Iowa is just cornfields and bean fields and open air space. And so I think that's what most people are like, how can Bigfoot exist in such a location? And that's why we're like, well, we have to make Squatch Iowa because we know that it's possible. And what you have to understand is that the landscape of all of this is driven by wetlands. And Iowa, way back, was basically all wetlands. We had a huge woolly mammoth population here in Iowa, and we're still finding, skulls and tusks and things like that So we had massive influx of animals coming through here. And obviously, as civilizations and stuff moved in and whatever, it changed the landscape. But if you have a river basin, a giant lake, something like that, you have a reason for animals to coexist in a single space, whether it's in one area or up and down an entire river basin. So we have the Mississippi here, we have the Des Moines River here, and there are so many claims along these river basins because all animals need to find water. There's constant water flow there. So therefore, we know where to go to hunt. And that's why the lake not far from where I live, there's ample activity. It's a massive river basin with a man-made lake and tons of deer and other animals. And it's literally the perfect breeding ground for something like a Sasquatch.
And to add real quick to that, the whole thing, like people not knowing, especially like Iowa and stuff, is Iowa's built on old school farmers, like these down home, honest, hardworking people. And when they see something strange like that, I think they have a hard time like talking about it because it's so out there that others are not going to believe them because it's just so out of scope. And like I remember reading a report years ago of like a farmer who literally was out harvesting and he watched a squatch run across his cornfield and into, I think he was chasing a deer or something, and the guy was so shook by it that he literally kept it to himself and like 20 years later reported it to the BFRO. But that's it. He's never told his family, he's never told his friends, he's never told anybody. And then that takes me to this other guy who reached out to us. He was like in his 70s, and he was like Jesse was saying earlier, he thanked us because finally he could prove to his grandkids that he was not crazy. And he's like, I've been telling them for years that this is what happened, and they laugh at me. And he goes, I've now shown them your movie, and they believe me. And it's just, yeah,
That's
it's just
awesome.
like, I think around here, it's just around Iowa, it's just such a like something we're not going to talk about. You know, it's just that classic down home Christian, like old school. No, we don't talk about this. No ghosts, no Bigfoot, no aliens. It's just not a thing we talk about. And if we saw it, we didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? But yeah.
And then the Alne brothers walk in, and that's it. Game changed.
We're like,
Dang right.
let's change your perspective.
Yeah. I'm glad you did though, man, because that's it. That's why we're here.
Absolutely, dude. One of the best decisions we ever made.
It's crazy how many people you said that hold on to these memories that they have, that don't share it with their family, don't share it with their friends because they get ridiculed for it. It's you hear that so often.
Yeah, it's like it's really, those are the stories I really cling to as well, because it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna make this up and then hide it from everybody. It's like harboring the secret for decades. It's something that's so hard to believe. And I guess like I can understand, like when we were hunting ghosts, we experienced some crazy things, but we never really went and told our parents about it, you know, because they weren't going to like it. You know, they didn't want to hear it. They would try to write it off. Now we tell them, but like we never talked about it with them. And so I think it's the same kind of idea with other people expanding their friends and everything, because they're like, oh, they're just going to think I was drunk, high. I mean, how many times Jesse and I've been called that? So
Crap.
yeah, that's just, I think, how they feel, and I totally get it. So that's another, like, there's so many reasons we made that movie, but it was like, this is for you guys, like, to show you you're not insane.
Yeah.
For the record, Seth and I do not drink alcohol.
No.
We do not smoke weed. Never have. Do not take intoxicants of any kind. We drink energy drinks. That's basically our liquor of choice. Seth drinks protein shakes.
And a lot of protein now, yeah.
So we often, like Seth said, we oftentimes get, how high or drunk were you?
So how difficult was that when you first put this film out? How difficult was it dealing with? Because I can imagine quite a lot of people sort of had that opinion that, not that you was high all the time,
Yeah.
but that you're not making it up. But what am I trying to say? They might have had that opinion that not believing it. How difficult was it for you guys to deal with that?
It comes with territory. It really does. If you're in the paranormal, if you're dealing with something that's unknown and has been labeled unanswerable, you know, the old school mentality is going to say you're insane. Like we have an old boss of ours who is an avid hunter, loves, I mean, obsessed with hunting, and travels the world going on hunting adventures and things like that. But he loves to make fun of us for looking for Bigfoot. And he's like, oh, I had trail cam set up all the time. I catch deer all the time, or mountain lion here, or cougar there, or coyote there. Never a Bigfoot. Now, I think deep down inside, he's probably open to it. He just loves to rag on us. But it's so easy to do that. And Tommy, you and I recently talked about the internet age. And I think it was you. Maybe it was the other podcast I was on. I'm sorry if I'm mixing my signals here. But it's in the internet age, it's so hard to watch something and believe that it's legit.
Yeah.
Especially with the introduction of artificial intelligence and literally every facet of what we can do now.
Yeah.
And so before all of that is when we're into the ghost hunting scene. So we had to learn how to properly go about these conversations with people. You just kind of start feeling someone out, and you can kind of sense like, oh, they're not into this. They give you a weird look. They write you off pretty quick, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my energy. But then you do get those people who are like, holy crap, tell me more. And then those are the people who stick around to watch the film. Because there's going to be people that click on Squatch Iowa on YouTube, watch the first 10 minutes and be like, ha, not, and move on. But there's going to be some other people like you,
They're
Tommy, you
fools.
10 minutes, you're hooked. And you can't stop watching until the end because you need to know what happens. Yeah. So I think that covers the basis of like, you run into disbelief and discreditors at every turn, no matter what you're doing. Yeah, and you just kind of have to go, that's okay. You don't have to believe me. I'm not an expert. I'm not telling you this is expert advice or expert opinion. It's just my experience. And it's okay if you don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And to add to that, my favorite, and like Jesse said, we got used to that pretty quick, you know, way back in our ghost days, because we constantly got it. Like, doubt. I mean, we were having doubters in high school. I mean, we used to debate our history teacher about ghosts and this and that. But my favorite thing to do is to prove them wrong. And if you're able, is take them along with you. And I can remember two of our friends, one was actually on our crew, and then a buddy of ours who constantly like mocked us for what we believed. And we took them out one night, and within like, we were out there for like less than an hour, and we started having massive rocks thrown at us, like from nowhere, like out of this middle of nowhere. And they were instantly like, oh, okay, there's something to this. And then the other buddy who's a radio DJ, and he's had us on his show a few times, he came out with us, and he's still not a full believer, but he was like, there's something to this. There's definitely, you know, something to that. And that's the most vindicating thing to me, is I love to take skeptics and be like, all right. I mean, my wife completely thought I was insane when I first met her, and now she's a believer. So, you know, that's the most favorite of mine. I love meeting skeptics and showing them. But yeah,
that is cool. That is cool. Look, when you get someone that comes round to the idea from going, no, a bit like my brother's a bit like that. Like he's had paranormal experiences, but he's very much still a skeptic, which is fine. It's good to be skeptical as well, because not everything that happens is paranormal. Like, there can be a logical explanation sometimes, but sometimes there's not, and you just can't explain it. But my brother's very much like that, with Sasquatch and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm getting him to come round on the idea.
Oh, that's the best, man. Heck yeah.
little by little.
So when you had your first experience, was you together?
Yes. Yeah. So our first experience with Bigfoot took place right before our big experience where Jesse saw and we chased, and that was standing on a riverbed in some random park in the middle of the night, and we had just started watching some Bigfoot stuff, and we made Jesse made some calls, and we got like the identical call back to us
Crazy.
from way down in the woods down the river, and we were like, what the heck, like no way. And then we were up in a cemetery that was nearby ghost hunting, and we started hearing these weird sounds coming from the river, and then that's what led us into the big experience of us getting lost in the woods. And yeah, we were together, and never forget, man. Never ever forget.
Yeah.
And I was a skeptic too, and I've said it many times. Like I remember,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I fully believed in ghosts, things you generally don't even see. And I chose not to believe in something that's physically present. And I remember Seth started bringing this up to me. He's like, I've been looking at Bigfoot, and there's history here in the Cedar Valley where we were living at the time. And I was like, I mean, yeah, it's cool. We can go look for it. I'd rather go on a ghost hunt. And then we started to experience things, and I was still like, I don't know, like the odds that someone was across the lake that mimicked it perfectly are slim, but it's possible. And so it took me actually seeing it face to face for me to go a whole 360 and go from being skeptic or full 180 be skeptic to a full believer. But yeah, I can't think of many Squatch activity things that we've experienced. I mean, obviously you've experienced several out in New York, but
Yeah.
before you moved, I don't think there was really much of any experience that we experienced without each other.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, we were always together, except Gert and I found the prints
Yeah.
by
Yep.
ourselves the next day after our thing. But yeah, dude, we've always hunted together, had our experiences together for the most part.
That's so cool to experience that together as well, man.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so unique and cool that Seth and I have been together through so many different things, and having us together is because how I experience the same exact event can be different than how Seth experienced it and remembers it. Like we've gone through that night where I saw the Sasquatch, and he's like, I just don't remember it the same as you. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but and like we touched on that in Squatch, Iowa, when we went back there, we disagreed and we experienced things differently then too. So there's something about that area of wooded land and the Squatch activity there, whether it's an interdimensional portal or what have you, but there's something about it, that confusion that comes with a lot of the Squatch activity, that Seth and I can attest to twice. Both times we were specifically hunting the exact same thing that we experienced previously. And again, and we were like at each other, like, dude, no, this is not what happened. This is not where we went. Yes, it is. This is exactly what I remember. And it was like we experienced the exact same thing, but almost the opposite thing.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing to wrap your mind around. It's like a comic book. It makes no sense. It's like something out of X-Men.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean, we've experienced a million weird, odd things, from ghost to Bigfoot to Goatman to all these things, and we remember 99% of our experiences the same. But that night is like a cluster F in our heads. Like it's like we're, for the longest time we were like, oh, we were stuck out there for 4 hours. No, it was 2 hours. No, it was 3 hours. And then it's like, no, we went this way. No, we jumped over this. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Like that's the only experience that gets so messed up in our heads. I mean, it makes sense what happened that night. I mean, it was a complete brain mush what happened to us. And for Gert and I to enter the very next night in pitch black, and we were able to just walk right through, whoop, walk right back.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem at all. And like, that doesn't make any sense. There's definitely something to that. And that obviously is in the whole nother realm of not just seeing Bigfoot, but experiencing everything that encompasses around Bigfoot and other supernatural crap.
Yeah. Seth, can I ask you what you remember seeing that night?
So yeah, so I never saw anything. I experienced and I heard it all. I think the thing that started it, when I remember the first thing, was coming back through and hearing what sounded like just huge zoom, 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 like thuds behind us. And then I remember us stopping and acknowledging it. And then I remember hearing it splash into water. And I was like, something's back there. And instantly, because there's this old campfire story, or this old story that I had read from that same area. A guy camped out there in the 70s, and he had watched a Bigfoot walk up to the river next to his campsite, get a drink, and then walk away. And he said he could just hear the thud of his feet for like what felt like an eternity. And so instantly I'm like, is this Bigfoot? Like, so we keep walking and we get to that river, or the flooded area, and I walk down to see if we can find another way around. And I can't remember how many other people were with us, like 3 other people, Isaac, Kaylin, and Tyler. And I think it was Isaac and me and Kaylin walked down to go find a way around. And I can't remember what I remember first. I think it was the crash, or Jesse. I think Jesse yelled out Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot. And then I hear the huge crash. And then it was just like someone just started driving a truck through the woods. And all I remember was just go, 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 go. And we just like took off running after this thing. And I have no memory of how we got over that flooded area. I have no idea why the heck we went chasing this thing, because we were already lost. And then it was just, I just remember just nothing, and then just confusion. And it's all a blur. All a blur until we walked out right at the Greyhound Park again, and just pure confusion and anger. Just, man.
So interesting. I find it interesting that you were at the same place, but you had different experiences.
Oh yeah,
there's something very interesting about that, man.
And that's the thing, is like, people can be like, write Jesse off because, oh, you were just hallucinating, you saw this, but what he heard and what the chain reaction of what happened with Jesse, I heard it. Yeah. So, and what's weird too is our cousin Tyler was right next to Jesse, and that night he was shook up just like Jesse because he had saw it. But you go to him now, he says, I never saw anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, it's like literally gone from his brain.
Doesn't remember it at all.
Wow. So he believes he honestly didn't see anything.
He always is like, I can't remember, or I don't remember, but I remember him being shook and talking about the red eyes with Jesse. Yeah. And he has no recollection. It's super strange.
Kind of like really, like,
yeah,
I don't really remember seeing anything. And I was like, dude, don't sit there and make me sound like I'm insane. Because like, I know he was literally on my left-hand side, standing right there. And I was like, dude, do you see that? Like, I remember communicating with Tyler. And then the rest of it, like Seth said, is a blur, because then I screamed, holy crap, it's a Bigfoot. Seth, there's a Bigfoot. And like Seth said, we don't know how we got across. I don't remember being wet. So we made it past the flooded trail area without getting soaked. And if we were wet, I have no memory of being wet. So it's
wow.
It's so trippy.
That is a crazy night, man.
Dude, there's a few times in history of my life that I wish I could go back, and that is like in the top 5. I want to just go and be a fly on the wall and just watch what happened that night.
Yeah.
And it would either be like, oh, that's what happened, or holy frick, that's what happened. Like, and I have a feeling it's the latter. Because we've been in there so many times since and never had the same kind of reaction ever.
Yeah.
And to kind of piggyback off that and bring it to the paranormal field, or another like situation. So I've talked in length about my demonic encounter in the cellar of the Blitzcax Murder House before here on Let's Get Freaky. Now, there is a camera filming me during this time.
I
We
just
have
watched it.
footage. What's that?
I just watched it not too long ago.
We have the footage of this event happening to me. And guess what you see? Nothing. You see nothing. Because it happened to me. Literally. I would love, my gosh, what I would give to be able to showcase that piece of video and be like, do you see that giant snake on the wall? Do you see it slithering around my body? Do you see it hissing in my face? Do you see me losing full control and then running out? But I can't. So you literally have to look in my eyes and watch the emotion on my body, watch my ears get red when I'm telling this story, because it's insane. And I remember we watched it. It's just like, dude, I think I found that footage, and I was like, holy crap, this is gonna be crazy. Nothing.
Yeah. You can tell though there's something wrong. Like it's just like he's like frozen, and it's like a side profile view, and he's just staring.
And then whenever Jesse's like very serious, he lowers his voice. He goes, I gotta go. And he just like looks at the ground. He goes, I gotta go. And he just storms out of the basement.
Wow.
And it's like, it's crazy to think like during that short time, all of this is happening. And of course, whatever it was, it doesn't want to show the world. It wants to make Jesse think he's crazy. And it wants everyone to think they're crazy. And they're not going to show their true selves to the world. But it showed to him, which we think in the long run was a blessing in disguise, to push us out. But yeah, it's that's what sucks, is because so many people rely, oh well, it's not being shown on video, so it's not real, or you don't have that captured, so I don't think it happened. It's like, I really don't care. It happened.
It happened. Yeah,
that's like when with Squatch, Iowa, it's just like there's not like this mind-blowing evidence like there's a Bigfoot walking across the street, but it's these little things, and it's like we're showing you how we feel and the things that we're experiencing and going through, and you can literally see like the tension and the and to me that's what is so telling. Like there's something going on, is like the people and how they react. And it doesn't always have to be this mind-blowing stuff, because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get it unless you're just a random doorbell is filming a ghost walk by or something like that. When you're trying to capture it, you're rarely going to capture it.
For sure.
That's one thing about the paranormal field, is that especially in the ghost hunting community, is all of these ghost hunters walk around and they tout, oh, use your body. Your body's one of the best tools you can use. But then you come to them with an experience solely based on your personal feelings, emotions, reaction, and they're like, can you show me the video of it? Can you show me the photo evidence of it? Can I hear the audio file from it? No, I'm just sharing with you my experience.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I'll have to go in and do my own investigation to see if I can capture that, to be able to validate that that's actually a paranormal experience. Dude, shut up. That's not how it works. Like, come on. You have to, again, I can walk into a grocery store and go pick a thing of tomatoes and walk out and enjoy every single tomato. Tom, you can go in and do the exact same thing. You walk out and you're like, these are the worst tomatoes I've ever had. It's experience. It's based on your own personal experience. And who am I to tell you that you're wrong? These are the best tomatoes ever. And you're like, no, they suck. It's just your experience. And you should not be less validated because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing we aimed with Squatch, Iowa. It's because like in Haunted Iowa, we went to locations to be like, hey, I think this place is haunted. Let's find out. Let's document this and that. Yeah, it's haunted. Awesome. Squatch, Iowa is like, okay, we're going to show that it's not just the Alne brothers going crazy and just being like, oh, we've experienced Squatch. We're going to find other people who've experienced this. and tell their story, and then we're going to take them out and make them take us to the spots that they experience this stuff. And it's like, if that's not enough validation for you, then just stop watching altogether.
Yeah.
Like, stop watching shows, because it's like, we wanted to show you, first off, we're not the ones making this up. We're going because these other people told us. And even every location, even Waterloo, is about our experience. But like I said, if you look up that park, dude had an insane experience in the 70s, and it goes back to like Sailorville. People having experiences way back, police officers seeing, having reports of Bigfoot, so I think that was huge for us to be able to just like say, hey, it's not just us, pal. We're not the ones making this up. Like, we're going out there because someone else told us. And so we're not the only crazy people here. There's a bunch of other crazy people just like us that are seeing the same exact thing. So
Well,
I think that's another thing. Yeah.
What I love so much about Squatch Iowa is I knew, like, I didn't know you guys then, but I was watching that was the first thing I saw of you guys. And I just knew that it was real. I just knew, like, as you said, there was no, like, you didn't see the Bigfoot there and then, like, but you just knew that it was real. And that's what really came across to me. And then obviously knowing you guys now, like I do, I know even more. Like, you know what I mean? I know how you guys work, and when you put something out, it's 100%.
And that's the thing. Like, our biggest goal is like, I just want to show you raw. Like so many shows and everybody like focus on reenactments and spending a 40-minute time on the history of a place and 1,000 interviews and this and that. And it's like, and then finally we get to the investigation, and it's like 10 minutes walking around, and it's like, we heard something. And it's like, well, the interview said they heard something out here, so clearly there's Bigfoot out here. It's like, no. Like, my favorite horror movie of all time is Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just raw, real, and you don't see anything, but you feel it.
Yeah.
And you hear things, and you get to like kind of figure it out like yourself. Like, you come up with your own explanation of what's going on, because we don't know the answer. We don't have an answer of exactly what Bigfoot is. So if we don't have full on footage of it appearing out of nowhere and this and that, you get to just be the own investigation and be like, okay, well, I think this happened, so I'm going to lead and go after this. It's the same with like Blair Witch. Everyone has their own, thoughts on what the Blair Witch is. It's the same thing with watching like our movies or our documentaries. It's like, this is what we think, but we're not saying we're right. We're not experts. Now you can take all what we've shown you and decide, this is nothing, this is something, this is crazy, and I think that is kind of, it's crazy to say, but that's a lot of where I based my editing and all that is off of Blair Witch. And I still remember our one buddy who saw Haunted Iowa, and he's like, dude, that is Blair Witch to me. He goes, it's just like, I feel like you guys are gonna die in the end. And that's every.
I'm glad you didn't.
So are we.
Yeah, me too. Anything that we make, I always try. Especially Tommy, have you seen Haunted House?
Yep.
Okay, that was my goal. I wanted you to think we were gonna die in the end.
Yeah.
Like, just the way it like led up. I just want, and you do. If you watch it, you think these guys aren't gonna make it out of here. Like, we're hiding in corners in the dark, like whispering and like, because then you just get to us like, what's slamming those doors? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, it's the ghost of the popcorn. The guy who ran the popcorn factory is now walking the halls, slamming the doors.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to be Zach Bagans saying it's all demonic and demons doing all this. I'm just going to say, this is what's happening. Figure it out yourself.
Yeah, and I think you get that. When I watch your documentaries, I feel like I'm there. And I remember feeling that with Squatch Iowa. I feel like I'm in the forest with you guys. Like, that's how it feels. And I think that's what came across to me for sure.
That's amazing. That goal achieved then, because I want you guys to feel like you're there with us. You're not watching some massive production. I just want you to like, hey, we're going on an investigation with CCPI. I want you guys to feel like you're with us. You're the ones filming.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it feels. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love to hear that.
And then I found out you were Vikings fans, and it was just pure love.
Dude, come on, man. Heck yeah.
We need to get you some Hawkeye gear, bro.
I sure.
Dude, I know we both got Hawkeye hats on.
Yeah.
We got enough Hawkeyes on the Vikings too, so.
Oh yeah, dude. Just hand in hand, bro.
So can I ask you where it all, like the first experiences you had, was it as a kid growing up? Did you have paranormal experiences?
So the weird thing about us is we grew up kind of really never talked about ghosts in our house. We grew up in a good Christian home, and it was just not a thing that we talked about. And as we got older, we got into scary movies, and we liked the thrill of getting scared. And we went into public school, and we had our first like hangout with a buddy in his house that it was just like his grandma's old house or something like that. Supposedly was haunted. And we're like, ooh, like no way. So we stayed there, and we ended up going and saying, oh, let's go walk around town, and then my buddy's like, oh, let's go pay respects to my grandpa out in a cemetery, which led us to this rural cemetery in the middle of nowhere, which leads us to the thing that started it all, which would be Jesse's experience.
Yeah, and I mean, the easiest way to put it is we're at the cemetery, black as night. There was no moon that night, midnight, if not later. Walking down the center, and just a little plug, if you go to CCPI TV on YouTube, watch our documentary Haunted Iowa, and you can actually watch this exact experience I'm going to explain to you on the documentary. Because we were, I mean, Seth and I have been filmmakers since 1999, and so we carry cameras with us everywhere before we had cell phones. And we're walking down the cemetery lawn, and I'm holding this camera, this old, what kind of camera was it, Seth?
It's a Sony high 8 video camera.
Yeah, with little high 8 tapes. And just walking
with night vision,
which was crazy.
That's
Where we
cool,
got
man.
that 2001. Yeah. And it was insane.
You guys were well ahead of the game.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Wait,
Accidentally.
yeah, 100%. My parents didn't know what they were doing, but blessed. And walking down the cemetery lawn, and again, pitch black, shouldn't be able to see much of anything. And I see something moving off to the right-hand side of my vision. So I look over at it, and it's this little girl. She's like a light blue color, and she's running full speed across the lawn. And I can see through her. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm just watching. She gets right to the center of the cemetery. And just as fast as she was running, she was at a dead stop. And she's still sideways, but she turns her head and she looks at me. And where her eyes are supposed to be were just black holes. And I'm just standing staring at this little girl, like 12 years old. And then it was almost like she was made of smoke, and like wind came and just like disintegrated her away. And it's crazy because this is a really elongated experience for me, but on the camera, it's a split second. And you do actually see something move in front of the camera at the exact moment that I react. And we ended up finding the headstone of a little girl, 12 years old, died in the 1940s, which would match the attire in which she was dressed in. And her name was Patricia Cornwell. And for years after that experience, we interacted with her, saw her, talked to her, introduced her to other people. It is, I don't know what, like ley lines, if they're crossed at this cemetery or what it is. But this cemetery is unlike any other location I think we've ever been to.
It's literally like an intersection of like the supernatural there. I mean, you name it, we've experienced it there. From just little kids giggling while mists are flying around the headstones, to huge like shadow figures walking through the trees, to like the sounds of like trees being snapped in half, literally figures up in trees, down in trees, wraiths, like if you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, the wraith things flying out of the ground up into the sky. Watching our buddy Gert run across the
cemetery and have another one of him chasing him like a doppelganger. And then doppelganger Gert chasing him, and we still think we captured it on camera too, on a picture I should say. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Let's pause on that for a second.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, repeat what you just said, Seth. Repeat what we experienced in the cemetery.
Okay, so it was 4 of us, and Jesse, myself, our buddy Jay, we were all in our car facing into the cemetery. And I think, do we have the headlights on, or was it headlights off? I can't remember. It might have been a full moon.
No headlights on, but Gert had a flashlight.
Okay, Gert had a flashlight, but it was like you could see. And Gert was doing like a challenge where he's walking around the cemetery by himself, and he gets like in the middle and he starts walking, and we both all see him walking, and then like 10 feet behind him or something like that, just a few feet behind him, another Gert is running after him. Like it was just like simultaneous. All of a sudden we're watching Gert, and then we look back and we see Gert chasing himself.
Wow.
But he's not keeping up with himself.
No,
he's running speed, but never gaining on himself.
It's just like moving, and then all of a sudden just gone. And then I took a picture, which I can find sometime. I don't know where the picture is right now, but I took a picture of Gert, and it might be double exposure, but it's very strange because there's a picture of Gert, and it's like this see-through Gert. You can tell it's him holding a flashlight, and it's his like side profile. But then you also see Gert facing me, facing the camera, and it's solid Gert. So it's like,
wow.
I don't think that I can, the cheap camera I had would have done a long exposure enough to capture the full frame of him. I mean, you can see his face details and everything, and then also capture him facing me forward.
Wow.
Very, very strange. But yeah, like we would bring tons of people out there, and people would leave bawling their eyes out. We used to bring a couple of these girls out that we hung out with, and they got pushed. They had hands put on their back. Jesse's had hands put on his back.
Literally.
Pushed out of the cemetery. The most insane thing to me, and the doppelganger thing's up there, but the most insane thing that ever happened in that cemetery to me was I was sitting in my car, driver's side, and there was my friend Alicia was in the passenger, and then our friend Danny was in the back. Jesse and our buddy Jay were out in the cemetery, and there's this road sign behind us, and we're just sitting talking, and I like glance into my rearview mirror, and you've seen Signs, right, Tommy?
Yeah, great film. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. The alien, the the birthday party is the one where it really sticks out. I look in my rearview mirror, and next to the sign is the Signs alien. It's standing there, almost as tall as the sign, and those signs are like 10 feet tall. Ironic signs, but it was literally standing next to the sign, just standing there, lanky, looked just like the birthday party thing. And I freak out. I turn to my friend Alicia, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I turn back, and it's gone. Not even like probably 30 seconds goes by, and I look at her, and I look back, and she looks out the back window, and she screams and just starts bawling and shoves her face into the armrest of the car. And I'm like, what's going on? She said, that thing you just saw by the sign is literally just leaning into the back window of your car, like leaning on your trunk, staring into our car.
Oh, man.
And then right as she says that, I hear footsteps creeping up to my car, and then I hear the loudest classic witch cackle, like this, right outside of my door, and it's the only door in my car that won't lock. Dude. And then it was just gone. And at that same time, Same time Jesse and Jay were hearing little kids laughing in the cemetery, and these mists were flying around them. Dude, one of the most insane things I've ever experienced in my entire life was that.
I'll intersect that with our story. So yeah, like Seth said, him, Alicia, and Danny are in the car, and one of the crazy things about this cemetery is it almost acts as a sound buffer. If it wants to be dead quiet, it will make everything dead quiet. But if it doesn't want you to hear anything, it'll be the loudest cemetery you'll hear every sound imaginable that you don't want to hear, whether it's an airplane or cars or gravel, whatever. We're in there and it's just quiet, but we start hearing these kids' voices and they're laughing. And like Seth said, it's like kids are playing tag with each other, but it's just mist, just all around us. And again, it's at night. So these are illuminated mists flying all around us. And what snaps us out of our experience is we hear, like, it sounds like Seth and the two girls in the car are being murdered. Like, it is the most horrific screaming and everything. I can still hear it. Of course, our buddy Jay was dating Alicia at the time. So he's like, oh, I got to go check on her. Let's go run. So we run as fast back to the car as we can. We get to the car. I know the door on Seth's car that does not lock. It's the back passenger on the driver's side. So we're running. We leap over the fence. I grab that door and I whip it open. And they're literally just, dude, full meltdown. Absolute meltdown. And we're like, what is going on? And it was right as that thing had cackled and walked towards that door that we grabbed the door and opened it. And they thought it was opening the door.
Wow.
So dude, I got goosebumps. The timing of all of these things has to be so perfectly fine-tuned to intersect.
And this is what's still crazy to me too, is Gert was we were all living together in an apartment about 30 miles away from here. And he was home at the apartment. And in the midst of this, I called him to tell him what was going on. And he goes, dude, literally, you said that just happened right before you called. A cake dish lifted off the refrigerator and chucked across our kitchen and shattered. Literally, just all of us witnessed paranormal activity at the exact same time. In completely different things and in completely different locations. Yeah, he's like, dude, at the same time you were experiencing this, something levitated off our fridge and chucked across the kitchen.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was wild, man.
So it's like you was all connected.
Seriously.
Whatever reason in that moment.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
wow, man.
Back off of, because again, we have so many stories. So a few years later, Seth, Gert, and I, we moved to Cedar Falls, which is where we end up actually seeing Bigfoot and having our Sasquatch encounters and all that stuff. And we lived in college housing, not dorms or anything, but it was just apartment complex for students. And we had a 4-bedroom apartment. And Seth and I went on vacation to Florida with our parents. And Gert stayed. Obviously, he wasn't going to come with us. He had to work and all that stuff. It was summertime. So no classes. A lot of people are gone for the summer. So we could lock our bedroom doors just because a lot of people move into these apartments. They don't know their neighbor or their roommates. It's just a safety feature. So Seth and I both had our bedroom doors locked. And nobody could get in and out because we had the key. So we're checking in with Gert, just making sure like everything's good, whatever. And he's like, dude, like there's just some pretty crazy activity in the apartment while you guys have been gone. And one of the things that stands out to me the most is he said he was in his bathroom, using the bathroom, the door's closed, and he said he heard what he would describe as like a demon dog scratching and clawing at the bottom of his bathroom door and like sniffing and snouting and growling and like biting to try to get into his bathroom door. And heat started to come through underneath that door. And he's like, dude, I finished in the bathroom. I whipped that door open and there was nothing. Absolutely
Wow.
nothing. So he's like, I don't think anybody's here. So let me just go check. So he goes and checks our rooms. Both rooms are still locked. Another time while we're still gone, he said he hears footsteps. And it's at the complete. So Gert lived on the opposite end of the apartment. Seth and I lived on the same end. So he hears footsteps and hears talking. And he's like, maybe someone left their TV on and I'm just now hearing it. So he walks to my bedroom door and he listens in my bedroom. He hears voices. He hears a conversation. Literally sounds like a TV is on. So he gets down on the ground and he looks underneath into my room and he just sees someone pacing back and forth in my bedroom.
Oh,
Pacing.
man.
I'm covered in goosebumps right now. Pacing back and forth, back and forth. So when we get back from vacation, he lets us know. He's like, dude, there's literally no way anybody's in there right now. But dude, we were all weaponed up. I unlocked my door and I shoved that door wide open. Nothing. Nothing was moved. Nothing was changed. Nothing was left on. Dude, it was insane. Now,
Wow.
you have to understand, when these things, these experiences that we're talking about were happening, this is when we were engulfed in the paranormal. It was our livelihood. If we weren't working or going to school, we were ghost hunting or researching ghost hunting or watching ghost hunting. We were obsessed. Plain and simple, we were obsessed. And again, in this same apartment, not long before or after, I'm pretty sure it was after. So Seth, he went to school online and then he would work overnight. So he slept a lot throughout the day. Well, he was gone for the day for an interview or something. So it was just Gert and me in our apartment. And again, Gert's the complete opposite end of our apartment that I live on. So Gert and I had a lot of our classes together. We were in the same program at university. And he's down doing his own thing, playing PlayStation or something. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap. So I shut my door, I lock it, and I go lay in bed. And I literally lay down and I hear Gert. Gert has a very distinct way of walking when he doesn't have shoes on. He basically just slides his feet across the carpet. And I'm like, I'm wondering if he's going to go to the kitchen or if he's going to come to my room. I hear him walk right up to my door. He knocks on my door. And I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? Knocks on my door again. I'm like, dude, what's up? I'm trying to take a nap. What can I do for you? And he's like, the office called. And I'm like, okay. He tries to get in my room. The door, I was like, dude, my door's locked because I'm going to take a nap. He goes, I'll tell you later. And I'm like, okay, like, what? All right. So I fall asleep for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I wake up. The second my eyes open, I get up out of bed. I open up my door. I go straight down to Gert's room. And I say, what's up, man? He's like, what's up? And I'm like, you said the office called. They did? Yeah. You said that the office called and you had something to tell me. He's like, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, okay, hold on a second. Did you not come all the way down to my room, knock on my door twice, try to turn my knob to get in the door, tell me about this, and then say you'll tell me later? And he goes, dude, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. I did none of that.
Wow.
Okay. Gert and I have been friends since 8th grade. 2001 is when we first became friends. At this point, I've never been nose to nose with Gert. Like, I went nose to nose with him and eye to eye. And I said, so help me. If you're lying to me right now, this friendship is over, dude. I am not messing around with you anymore. And dude, he put his hand on me and he's like, I promise you, dude, I did not come anywhere near your apartment since we got back from class. I promise you. Dude.
Man.
Let me preface, this apartment is like a new build with probably in the past, at our time, it probably been built in the past 10 years, 15 years. And it's like a new thing, like out in the built in a probably a field. And there's no way it was haunted. Like we tried to make up all these excuses back then, like, oh, we don't have anything following us, oh, we don't have anything, biggest bunk we ever convinced ourselves of, because my gosh, and I didn't have like that experience or even what Gert did, but I remember going to sleep one night and I was just like about to fall asleep. I was facing the wall, and someone just lays their whole entire arm and hand down on my back. And I'm like, I'm just gonna ignore this and I'm gonna go to sleep. I knew my door was locked. I always lock my door when I go to sleep. Something just lays its hand and arm down my back. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. And it just kind of dissolved. It wasn't there anymore.
Oh, man.
And just as I'm about to go to sleep, Jesse's voice comes from underneath my bed and goes, bye. Underneath my bed, just goes, bye, dude.
Wow.
And somehow I just brushed it off when I went to sleep. Yeah, and then it was like, I think it was a couple weeks later, our grandmother passed, and that night she was standing in the corner of my bedroom. I literally woke up to her just standing there watching me, and I was like,
oh man,
hey, all right. And I just went back to sleep. We were so
wow.
used to stuff. Yeah, dude. And it carried on. Like the apartment we had before that, we keep talking about doppelgangers. I mean, clearly just Gert's doppelganger was there again. And then I saw at our old apartment before this, I saw Jesse's doppelganger walk up to our house. I saw him walking up to our door. He was getting his keys out to come in the door. And I walked past and no one comes in. And I'm like, what the heck? So I turn around, go back. There's nobody there. Jesse's not there. His car is not there. He comes home like 2 hours later. And I was like, dude, did you come earlier? He's like, no. I was like, what? Like, I literally saw you walk up to our door. And in that same place, I remember my bedroom door was locked. I took a nap. I woke up to someone saying my name, and I look and my bedroom door is wide open. Like, yeah, and we would hear somebody coming in the front door up, like it was a split level, and we'd be in the living room and hear someone come in our front door, and we'd be like, hey, Matthew, because it was usually our buddy. Nope, nobody was there. We would hear footsteps, the door open, and like walking past things, nobody there. And yeah, and finally it was at the end of the University Mills where Jesse had Gert experience and I got slapped or arm. I remember vacuuming as we were moving out and screaming, you are not allowed to follow us. I am so sick and tired of this. We are not doing this anymore. And then from then on, we really had no more experiences in any place we lived until the house I live in now. It's super haunted, but
oh wow.
Yeah.
We've got to get into that at some point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Man, that's incredible.
An experience that happened at that split level that Seth was just talking about.
Oh yeah, Jesse got a good one.
So I had the biggest bedroom in the place. Had a walk-in closet and everything. And now I'm scared of closets. I have been, because ever since I saw a music video called Sitting Up with the Dead by Ray Stevens. Watch it. Think about seeing it when you're like 4 years old. You're going to be terrified.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had a walk-in closet, so I always made sure that my closet door was shut. And then I always made sure that my bedroom door was shut and locked. And I'm laying there trying to go to bed. And the area of where both those doors kind of intersect, it always just somehow managed to stay dark right there. So, but again, I'm like, whatever. And I'm trying to go to sleep. And I'm hearing... And I'm laying there. I'm just like, please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. And something tells me you need to open your eyes. So I open my eyes. I'm reliving it right now. I open my eyes, and there is literally a person standing in that darkened area. And they're just standing there, and they're just going, I'm covered in chills right now.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, I just close my eyes. I'm like, it's not there. It's not real. It's not real. And I just start praying. I'm like, God, please just let me fall asleep. Let me fall asleep. Let me fall asleep. My floor starts to creak. And it's the little whispering sound is getting louder. and it walks right up to my bed. And then, dude, I can literally feel like you know, when someone's around you, that energy, you feel it.
Yeah.
Just like when you get goosebumps. They were right next to my bed. At first, I thought it was one, but then there was two, because there was one at the foot of my bed and one next to me. And I could just feel it. And then their little finger started rubbing my eyelashes. And then they just running their fingers over my eyelashes, dude, going. And I remember just like, I just have to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep. I have to go to sleep. This is not happening. Lord Jesus, get this out of here. In Jesus' name, you must leave. And I fell asleep. Wow. And I remember I woke up the next day and I kind of came to and I was like, I don't know if I want to open my eyes. And it was daylight and there was nothing there. But dude, and again, we are still convincing ourselves at this point that we're not being followed, that we're not being followed home, that we're not living in the midst of things, that we're not carrying attachments with us.
What, at the time, what was you guys? Obviously, you was telling each other what was happening. What was you thinking it was? Was you just thinking it was entities that were haunted the house? Or
yeah.
Usually, we always blamed it on the house, the apartment.
Exactly. We didn't know the history of where we were at. And I don't know if I've explained our way of thinking a lot on here this way before. I can't remember. But we've always looked at paranormal activity up until more recently, where we believe it's truly just demonic, as taking red paint and throwing it onto a white wall, letting it dry, and then painting over it. Like, no matter what you do, that red paint's still going to be there. You can paint over it, still there. You can even if you go when it's still wet and you wash it off, you're going to miss, no matter what, you're going to miss a speck of that red paint. There's always going to be a remnant of something that was there. That's how we've always explained, like, energy comes, energy goes. Energy fills, energy empties. But it's always leaving an imprint.
And I believe a lot of that still, like, because it's like, you know, as Christians, yes, we believe our soul goes to heaven and stuff like that. But if you read the Bible, like, our bodies don't go until the end. We don't resurrect until the end. Everything is left here. And so your memories, your energy, your life energy, everything is left here. And there's so many stinking stories about how, like, something traumatic happened in this location that just exuded emotion, exuded energy and stuff like that. And that place is always freaking haunted, like, so haunted. That's usually why you get your murder locations and you get your, stuff like that. It's just so much bad juju, so much energy. And one of my favorite stories ever is these ghost hunters went in and they were investigating the claims of this little girl coming down this staircase every single night. She would come down this staircase, hide at the bottom of the stairs, and then vanish. And they one night went in and they saw her, the little girl, go down the stairs and hide at the bottom of the stairs and then vanish. Well, come to find out, they end up tracking down one of the former people who lived there, and it was this woman. And they see a picture of her when she was little, and it's her. It's the little girl that goes down the stairs and hides. And she was abused when she was young, and she would come running down the stairs and she would hide every single night. And so this energy just blanketed that place. And so they're literally seeing it just like a VHS tape, just rewind, play over, rewind, play over. And I think a lot of activity is, that what we're witnessing is just like stuff that's happened, literal, like the Kling brothers from Ghost Lab, they used to call it, like, you would literally run into energy bubbles and it would just pop. And that's when you hear a sound, or, you hear footsteps or something like that. That's why we often see people that are like, you'll see a ghost walk through a wall where there used to be a door, because, it's the residual stuff. So that's what we always claimed, everything that was going on. And then we always thought, some of this energy is so heavy it can literally have intelligence. Now that's left to be debated, obviously. Again, we don't know what we're talking about, we're not experts, but it's something we felt, but I think we were very heavily into that stuff. We were doing stupid other things. I definitely think there was some sort of demonic things going around too, and it was trying to really mess with us, and it was also enticing us to keep going and to keep digging and to keep going. And so it was obviously we were in denial that what we're doing is causing this crap. But yeah, it's definitely just this, it's a wide array of things.
And to piggyback what Seth was saying about, the energy that's left behind, our mother is alive and well. And we've lived in the same house ever since I was 9 months old. And my parents still live there. Now, Gert, he was always that friend that whenever he came to visit us at our parents', he could just walk in. He had an open invitation anytime. Come on in the house. Don't have to knock or anything. So it's the summertime. We told him, hey, come on over and, we'll go do something. So he comes in, and usually he'd always walk right in the back door, turn directly to his right, go right into the basement. So he's like, oh, Seth and Jesse aren't here, so I guess I'll just go hang out in the basement until they get here. Well, he hears our mom absolutely losing her mind upstairs, screaming and yelling, just an absolute irate anger. And he's like, holy crap, I don't know what Seth and Jesse did, but it doesn't sound good. And he's sitting there just kind of like, what do I do? This is so awkward. And then Seth and I walk in the house with our mom, and we had just been at a garage sale.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our mom is demon. Our mom is alive.
Yeah.
But at some point, we probably made our mom so mad that she released an energy bubble, kaboom, that red paint all over that white wall. And for whatever reason, Gert was the one who came in and went pop, and it went boom.
That's so interesting, man.
My wife heard my mom down in the basement a couple holidays ago, and just heard her yelling for someone to come help her with something, and my mom wasn't down there. Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's bizarre. We've heard, I remember I used to sleep in the basement for the longest time when I come over to college, and I would literally hear people walking in our living room, and there was nobody up there. And I know my parents' house isn't haunted by demons, it isn't that's something my dad would never allow, so it's definitely a mixture. And I don't think I'm living with demons here either, when we can get into that later, but yeah.
Wow,
but yeah,
man.
It's crazy.
Because you do hear, obviously, entities do mimic family members and stuff. Like you hear that in the paranormal world. But that's interesting, man. They could, because you always think someone's passed, they've left that energy. But if the energy's so strong, it can stay there, and while you're still alive as well. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
I never thought of it like that before.
Now, before we get into the things that Seth experiences where he lives, there is one thing that I want to talk about with Seth that is truly out of this world, truly mind-blowing, truly something I never thought was possible. Seth, let's talk about the clown that you bought from Goodwill.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so was it 2013, I think? Yeah. I was at Goodwill, and I love to hate clowns. Like, I'm terrified of clowns, but I love them at the same time. And it was not it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure that made me terrified of clowns. But anyways, I was at Goodwill, and I found this little clown doll, probably about this big. His name was Twinkles or Tinkles or something, I can't remember, but he came with a little, came with a balloon that you a set of balloons, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm terrible at actually getting most movies done. I always come up with all these 100 ideas, and I was like, oh, I want to make a movie about this guy. So I brought him home, and I can't even remember what I personally did. I just remember weird stuff started happening. I remember that night I brought him to the house, and we had our apartment had the entry door, and then it had a sliding glass door. And literally within 20-30 minutes of having that clown in the house, this massive storm came through and water poured in both of our doors, both front doors, like literally 30 minutes after I got this clown in the house. And so it started off weird. Of course, we didn't think anything of it. And then the other thing that was weird is right after I bought the clown, we had 2 guinea pigs at the time, and the older, bigger one started acting extremely weird. Like he was always like running around, chirping and this and that. Just stopped, just slow, lethargic, quiet, and we're like, that's weird. I wonder if he's sick or something like that. And then we also had Christian music always playing on a little radio station, or a little iPod, was it, Jess, or something like that?
It
was
just
a
a little
radio.
radio.
Yeah, and it was playing by the guinea pigs to keep them company and this and that. That every morning we got up, and now I can't remember the time length or whatever. That radio was unplugged, like just unplugged. Like, so the Christian music was stopped, and we're like, what the heck? How is this coming unplugged? So we plug it back in. Next day, boop, unplugged. So that leads me into more Jesse's insane experiences. What happened next?
So it is Twinkles, by the way. I found a
Twinkles,
picture.
that's right.
And I will send you the picture, Tommy, so you can share it on your post, so
Awesome.
that people can see the clown. It's the exact clown. Yeah, so like Seth said, I also love to hate clowns. So when he bought this thing, when he found it at Goodwill, I was like, yes, absolutely, you got to buy that. It's got to be on. And I was working, Seth and I were both working security at the time. And so we'd be in and out of the house at different times. And I remember Seth was working the morning shift and I had to work an afternoon shift. And I took the doll, the Twinkles doll, I put it in front of the front door, and I wrote, gosh, can you remember what I wrote on the note?
I have pictures of it. It was like, hi, Seth. Something,
Yeah,
something,
like,
something
hi, Seth, welcome home, something like that. So I wrote it like really scraggly, and then I put the pen in Twinkle's hand, and I just left. And so when Seth walked in the house, there's Twinkles the doll right in front of the door, looking like he wrote a note to Seth. Ha ha ha, so funny. So then it started to escalate. I started to get like creepier with it. And I tried to figure out how to like get it to hold a knife. And I started to set it up in like really weird ways.
Get a lighter at one point.
What's that?
You put a lighter in his hand at one point.
Yep. A lighter, like he's going to burn the house down.
Yeah.
Like just really weird things. I don't know why. I would wake up and I'd have a new idea. So Seth, I think, was leading a ghost hunt at Farrar one night, and I'm home by myself. I had to work. I came home. Now, Seth had mentioned that the radio was being unplugged. Now, we would find, basically, here's the plug-in, and it would basically just be dropped down below the outlet. This time, and it was like one of those big, heavy block plugins. And this time, it was unplugged and thrown completely away from the wall, and probably a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet in front of the guinea pig's cage. So it was probably thrown about 2.5 to 3 feet in total length. So something took it and threw it off the wall. It didn't just drop off. So I get home and I find that, and I'm like, of course, I'm thinking Seth. I was like, Seth, what the heck? Like, why? So I just go over and I plug it back in, and I'm in my bedroom on my computer, and I keep hearing this, or I keep getting this sensation that Twinkles is going to come around my doorway and start walking towards me. And I'm like, I don't, like, what? So I go back out, I look, and he's right where I left him. I leave, and I start getting these bigger sensations, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, I can't get a hold of Seth. I'm just going to take this sucker out of the house right now. So I went and I hid him behind the dumpster outside, because I didn't want Seth to think I threw it away without his permission.
You got a hold of me.
Oh, did I?
So I was at like a guest at some ghost hunt down in down
That's right.
southern Iowa. So I was out. It was like before it even started, and you called me and you told me, and I was like, get it out. I said,
Okay.
I don't even care. I said, get it out of here, because I don't like any sort of idea of a haunted clown or this or that. If you're feeling weird about it, just get it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. That's why it's so good to have Seth on here. So I put him out there, but then I'm talking about it on my social media, and someone's like, you should probably just get rid of that. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't want someone else to find it. So I took it from the dumpster, and I opened up the trunk of my car, and I just chucked it in my trunk, and I slammed the door on the trunk. I turned to walk away from my vehicle, and I hear kicking and banging from inside of my trunk, and a full-grown, gravelly voice saying, "Hey, get me out of here! Get me out of here!" And it's going bang, 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 bang. My car is moving.
No way.
And I'm standing there like, this cannot be real. This cannot be. So I walk back to the trunk and it stops. And I'm like, dude, am I losing my mind? Is this thing like messing with my mind? I walk away. Bang, 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 bang. Hey, get me out of here, you SOB. Get me out of here. And I'm like, So I'm like, dude, F this. I get in the car. I tear off to Goodwill.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I got to interject. He's calling me again, telling me about this. And I'm like, dude, get it the F out of here. I said, I don't care. Take it back to Goodwill. Jesse's fighting me. He's the one experiencing it. He's like, no, well, I don't want to get rid of it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't. He's like, he's having this weird sympathy for this thing. And I'm like, bro, you got to get. He's like, well, it's closed. I said, I don't care. You go chuck it out, because anything that doesn't go through their door, they'll just put in the dumpster. I said, go put it back where it came from and set it right with us. And it literally took like multiple times. And then I called a friend of ours who's like, she was kind of one of our paranormal moms, and told her to tell him, and finally convinced him, like, get it out of here. But it was like, he was terrified, but he was also like, I think I should save it. I don't want to throw it away. Super weird. Super weird.
And I was having like ideologies of seeing this doll killing Seth. And like, that's what I was like trying to set up with the lighter, like light Seth on fire, stabbing him with a knife. And yeah, I remember what I said to Seth was, Seth, like, you spent your hard-earned money on this. I'm not just going to go throw it away. Dude, I'm probably just freaking out because I'm home alone. It's fine. I'm okay. And you're like, dude, you literally just heard this thing freaking out in your vehicle. And so I remember like, I just went back inside and I just sat there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then that's when, who was it that called me, Seth?
Becky and Vicky.
I was thinking you were talking about, because I also know that I talked to Roz about it too.
Oh, and yeah.
Rid of that thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. So I grabbed my keys, and dude, the entire time I'm driving to Goodwill, which was only like a 2 or 3 minute drive for us, I'm thinking like, this thing is going to break through the backseat of my car, and it's going to kill me, like straight up Chucky style. Oh. And I go up to Goodwill, I pop open my trunk. He's exactly where I left him, looking. Just wait till you see the picture of this thing. And he's just sitting there, and I literally take him and I just set him on the step of Goodwill, close my trunk, and leave. Now, what do I wish I would have done? I wish I would have burned that mother.
Yeah.
Because that possessed piece of antique or whatever is probably still floating around somewhere. And absolutely have items be attached. I mean, Zach Baggins, he has a full museum of possessed items in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was fully possessed. He was unplugging our Christian music every day.
That's crazy, man.
Dude, I swear to you, I think that this thing was literally walking around our apartment when we were not there,
Yep.
terrorizing our guinea pigs
Yep.
because they definitely changed. They were scared. They were timid. Anyway, anytime we go in to pick them up, they would kind of squeal like, ah, but then they'd be fine.
Yeah.
They would run and they would avoid us, dude. And they would just sit in their little corner
Oh,
and just
man.
terrified. I guarantee
They've been seeing something. Oh, man.
yeah. We had surveillance in the apartment. It would have been walking around.
Yeah.
100%.
Once it was gone, too, they were back, literally right back to themselves.
And the radio stayed plugged in all the time.
Yep. Oh, man. That's wow.
Dude,
how big was it?
It was probably about this big. It was probably, I would say, like a 13-inch, probably 14.
Wow.
Let me see. So it's Twinkles the Circus Clown Doll by the Danbury Mint is the
Danbury Mint.
Wow, man.
I can get other details on it.
Dude, and we were literally for like 2 weeks, I kept waiting to open the door and have him standing like in front of our door. Like I kept waiting for him to show back up. And I still, to this day, when I'm walking around thrift stores, I'm like looking to see if he's going to show up somewhere. Wow. I really hope he just went in the dumpster and is dead now and crushed somewhere.
So from the moment you brought him on, there was activity going on straight away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, man.
I just recently popped up in my memories, the flooding of the two doors. And I always remember like, wow, was it the clown? Like that storm just popped up out of nowhere right after that clown came in here.
Man.
So
that is insane. Because I saw the Chucky film. I shouldn't have seen it when I was 4 years old.
Oof.
My parents made a mistake and they let me watch it. And it obviously they didn't know what the film was.
Right.
I hope.
Child's play.
It messed me up, man. It still freaks me out, the thought of that. Oh man. So that is terrifying.
It's one of the most terrifying concepts. It's like most ridiculous. I remember we were working on what we ended up becoming Clown. But I worked on a bunch of other ideas for Berkeley's, and I had bought a stuffed clown at one point, and I was like, this thing is not leaving my vehicle, and it literally stayed in my car. And I also bought a clown painting for the movie, never left my car, and then when we moved I just threw it in the garbage. Like,
yeah, don't blame you, man.
Never ever will I buy like a clown, like especially from a thrift store, you know.
Yeah.
No thanks. No,
you just
thanks.
don't know what's attached to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have your phone, Tommy. Open up our Instagram conversation. I just sent you the picture.
Okay, let's see this.
I want your reaction live on the air right now.
Okay, here we go.
Zed, you can see it too.
Oh boy. Oh wow. That is freaky, man. I don't know if the camera can see that.
Yes.
Wow.
Porcelain with soft clothes.
Yeah, that's giving me I mean, after what you've just told me, that's giving me shivers.
It had a stand. Looks like the stand is with this one. That it's an eBay listing. It looks like, and it had a stand. I don't think Seth had the purse.
I don't think it did either. No,
I don't recognize that. But that was the doll that was kicking and screaming and cussing at me in the trunk of my car.
Man, that's incredible. That is freaky looking, man.
Yeah.
So don't ever buy clown dolls from thrift stores, kids.
No, for sure.
Never.
What do you think could have? I know this is a what if, but what do you think would have happened if you'd kept that in the house? Like it would have just escalated.
I feel like it would have just kept messing with Jesse, and like making him do really stupid stuff with it. And because Jesse's clearly the more sensitive of the two of us, so he was connecting with it for some reason. And I feel like it would have affected us mentally and made us sick, like it was the guinea pigs. And who knows, like it could have burnt our apartment down. It could have, I mean, demons have been known to do a lot less, so a lot more. So why not?
Yeah, man.
The more that I'm thinking about this, Seth, this would have been summer of 13 which is literally when I stepped away from the paranormal.
True.
So this happened to me after I stepped away, which is most likely why I didn't even try to tag along with you on that ghost hunt, because I was done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And so that just shows like I was still super sensitive, and that just clicked with me, because I walked away in June of 13. I walked
Yeah.
away from ghost hunting.
It would have been
And
right after that.
it had to be.
So it was trying to like
Yep. It was trying to
keep you
pull
in
me.
its grasp.
It
Pull
was
you
trying
back
to
in.
last ditch effort, something. But the fact
Wow.
that the fact that it took me 10 years to correlate that, because it's been 10 years since I walked away from ghost hunting. 10 years just now is clicking like, wow, that's crazy.
Wow, man. That's trying to pull you back in.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
Man.
Yeah.
I'll stay away from clowns for sure. I've got they freak me out, man.
I know,
And that is a
man.
freaky looking clown.
Winkle.
Wow.
I know, man. It's so innocent. That's the fun part. Is like that's like the scariest clowns are the happy clowns.
Yeah.
To me, you know.
Yeah.
It's the straight face. Like that's why we made clown and Berkeley stuff. I'm like, I don't want a clown mask that's like angry. I don't want a terrifying. I just want this normal clown,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you can't tell if it's, you know. But
Ronald McDonald. Ronald McDonald is the freakiest guy ever.
Yes. Dude,
I mean,
100%. Just pure evil behind those McDonald's eyes.
100%, man. He is.
Hey,
Wow.
we pause, right? I think there's a good pause. I need to take a leak really bad.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Sounds
Hold
good, pal.
We'll keep it going.
Dude,
Wow,
yeah.
man.
That's
crazy. And to actually hear it as well.
I know, that's part of it's like that's the jealous side of me. Like I wish I could have heard it, just because like I'm all about I want to experience it, but at the same time I don't want to experience it. But I'm just like I'm like, oh, I wish I could have experienced that. You know, and then watched him leave. But that actually is one of the stories about this place that I live in. There's a haunted doll and possibly demonic doll. I don't know, which I think I had dreams about. Yeah.
And it's in your house now.
So this is the weird part. I don't know what happened to it. I'll expand when Jesse comes back. But it's gone. And I don't know what happened to it. And I think that God told me to burn it, but it's my sister-in-law's kids. Like it was like her baby doll, and it was in storage for a while, and they got it out to put it in a garage sale. And then all of a sudden the kid's like, oh, I want that. So then she's like, oh no, I don't want to get rid of it. I'm like, you gotta get freaking rid of it. You'll understand why, which I think I've shared a little bit on social about it. But it's gone, dude. Like the last time I saw it, it was outside, and I don't know where it's at. And I keep seeing baby dolls like appearing and of hers around. And I'm like, oh, that's it. No, it's not it. So I don't know what happened to it. But yeah, it's man, that's what scares me. One thing, because me and my wife love to like thrift and like treasure hunt and stuff like that. And we always buy my son and our daughter's stuff that we find. And I'm like, frick, like please God, like don't let it, be haunted, or
you don't know what you're bringing in. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, dude, that's the scary part. It's like,
I'm really into like vintage clothing. It's something like, especially sports, like old Viking stuff. Like I get jackets and stuff like that are secondhand.
Heck yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself that could have something attached to it. You know don't know who owned it before. Like,
dude,
and it's real. Just, I've got a lot of secondhand vintage clothing.
It's like playing Russian roulette, man. It's like you never know. You never know if what you're gonna get, but it goes down. Like some people are always like, why is my house that was built last year haunted? And I was like, okay, well, what happened in those woods that tree was knocked down? maybe someone was murdered out there, and that energy is on that wood, and now it is part of your house. Like,
Yes.
it's so easy to get something tainted into your house. It's not even funny. Like, who knows where things have come from, what or even what happened on that land back, like, in the 1800s or something like that. You just
Yeah.
never know. You
Yeah,
never
for
know.
sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah, man.
so okay, so my house, the place I live in my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law, and then my sister-in-law and her daughter live here. Me and Kaylee and the kids have an apartment in the basement. Um, so before I moved here, there was a whole lot of activity that would happen. So my wife has three sisters. Yeah, three sisters. All but one of them has had something growl in their ear, like right here. And actually, where I'm sitting is where one of them experienced it. The growl
Oh
was
man.
right here. Now, I my belief is this is when they were all teenagers, and I don't know if you've heard much of the research about when girls are going through their maturity, how it
Yeah.
can cause insane activity. I think that fed into that. I think that's why they were experiencing a lot, because I remember they said they would come out and their cupboards would all be opened, and things like that. But there was also some other things going on amongst the family, which I think attracted whatever was going on. But yeah, my wife, she said it was like a human doing the most accurate lion roar she's ever heard, and it was right in her ear. And I can't remember where she heard it. I think it was upstairs. But yeah, then my other sister heard it like literally in this hallway that I'm in, and then the other one I can't remember. But so there was that, and then they would hear my brother-in-law's voice when he wasn't home. He would, which is kind of what you talked about, and he would be talking. He talked to the dogs, like the voice talked to the dogs. The dogs calmed down. He wasn't there. Like, very, very strange. My father-in-law would get up in the middle of the night because they would hear somebody walking up and down the basement stairs, which these stairs are super creaky and loud. They would hear someone walking up and down. My wife said they would wake up and hear dining room chairs dragging. I thought she said it in the basement, but I can't remember. But they heard chairs moving back and forth in the middle of the night. So then that brings my time out here. So I think the first experience I ever had out here was we were getting ready to move. We'd come out here a few weeks early to paint our apartment, and I was sleeping, or I was trying to take a nap or something, and no one was in the house. And I just hear someone walking upstairs, open the gate, because there's a gate at the top of the stairs, start walking down the stairs. And I go, oh, my father-in-law. And I look outside, and my father-in-law is standing outside. And there's literally nobody. There's nobody there. And so that brings us to us. That was like my first experience here. And then we come here, and one of the first experiences I ever had was my wife, who's a Ford Manley, was born, and our bedroom and the kitchen living room was like kind of a studio. So it was like 2 a.m. and I had to go get a drink or something. My wife is fast asleep. I go over to the fridge and I hear a woman just talking to me from our bed. And I'm like, what? And I like turn and I'm like, what? My wife is fast asleep. And there's just this woman talking to me from our bed. And I'm like, okay, that was slightly terrifying. Again, I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm just going to, mark it off, whatever. So things continue. And I can't remember. There's so many different random things that happened. I remember hearing another woman talking to me from the kitchen. I was sitting in here working on my computer, and I have my TV is like my big monitor. And I was like kind of working like this. And in the TV's reflection, I saw an entire tall black shadow just walk behind me
Oh,
while I was working. so that was pretty terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah. and and then my gosh, my mother-in-law she sometimes stays up till like 3 a.m. She hears like somebody coming up the stairs, and she'll be like, Kaylee, is that you? Hey, hello? And just nothing. My niece, when she was like 3, she was sitting in the living room looking down the hallway, and she goes, oh, it's Nani. And my mother-in-law was not there. She would literally watch some woman that looked like my mother-in-law walk past her bedroom door.
Wow,
and,
man.
and then that just led to like the most terrifying thing that ever happened in this house. My niece is sleeping, and she wakes up to knocking in the middle of the night. She looks at her bedroom door, and there's an old lady dressed all in white standing in her doorway, just grinning like this at her. It just keeps knocking on the door. And then
Oh,
she like
man.
walks into her room and like shuffles into her closet and just staring at her. Then she shuffles out of the closet and just shuffles down the hallway and comes down to me. Goes downstairs and hears it walking down the stairs. For like 2 straight weeks, you couldn't use a hammer with a nail or anything without her losing her mind because she thought it was the knocking lady. What's crazy is like that same week that she experienced it, I woke up and I go, oh, it's windy outside. The big white curtain that in our bathroom just flowed out. We don't have a white curtain in our bathroom. I'm pretty sure I saw that lady's dress whip out and then come back in. She was in our bathroom, dude. I saw.
Oh, man.
I said, we don't have a white curtain. What are you saying? Like, and it's like this woman keeps talking to me, and um, and so then fast forward to my son when he was like, not he was just learning how to talk, and we had our baby monitor focused on him. I work nights, so I was sleeping in the other room with the door closed. My wife is upstairs. She's watching him on the baby monitor, and he stands up, points at the door. So it'd be this door right here. He points at the door and goes, "Look, Dada, look." And then my voice goes, "Yeah," back to him, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
my wife heard it on the baby monitor.
Wow.
Yeah, so like me, I was standing right there. Something that looked like me and talked like me was standing right the frick there. That my 1-year-old thought was me.
Man, that's terrifying.
My son has come into us crying, and he goes, I don't want to play with her. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I think it was a girl. I think it was a girl. The little girl just came in my room and said she wanted to play with my trains. I don't want to play with her. And now she's singing. I'm like, what the frick, dude? Like, please, what the F? Um, and
Wow.
so then that leads us to what I was just kind of filling you in. So this baby doll, my sister-in-law digs it out of storage. It was from when my niece was a baby. Wants to sell it at a garage sale. It doesn't sell. So it gets left upstairs. Kids, when they see their old toys, they start playing with it. And so I'm downstairs. I can't remember what I was doing, but the rest of the family's out on the deck upstairs. And the doll is in the house. And my son goes, Mom, she went in, the little girl just went into the family room or something like that. I'm like, she's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And he says a name, which forgive me, I don't remember the name, but he says it's so and so, and she's like, what? Who are you talking about? She goes and opens the door. That baby doll is giggling and kicking its feet and wailing its arms on the floor. My wife picks it up. It's still giggling and kicking its arms and legs. She shows it to my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law's like, I don't think it's supposed to do that. She takes it through the door and it stops. she puts it back through the door and it starts doing that again. Now, here's the crazy thing. The batteries are dead in this thing. It can laugh, but the batteries are dead. And from the neck down, it's just stuffing. So, yeah. Its arms and legs are kicking. And so my wife literally is like, what the heck? So it stops doing that. She keeps trying to get it to make sound. She can't. She's like lifting upside down, this and that. But every time she takes it in the house by itself, it starts laughing at her. And then later, someone they took the batteries out. They propped it on my sister-in-law's bedroom window to like as a joke. And my sister-in-law walks in and it starts kicking and laughing at her. And they literally just push it out the window. Now, this is the crazy part. Last year, it would have been like a couple months before this, I had a vivid dream that I was in a basement fighting a demon. And I beat the demon into the ground. Like I'm literally punching this thing. And I punch it like one last time and it turns into a baby doll. And it's in this like rundown part of the basement, which is what my father-in-law's side of the basement looks like. It's just storage. And that's where it was when I had the dream. And then I truly believe that God told me I should burn it. And I tried, but I was told I shouldn't because it wasn't mine, which I understand. And now it disappeared. I have not seen it. It was outside and now it's gone. It just vanished.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah, dude. And it's just like constant. Like I messaged you guys earlier. I'm literally sitting here playing PlayStation and I just hear, I'm like, what is that? Everybody's upstairs. I'm like, what's that sound? It's a music box. And I just walk into my daughter's room and on her pillow is this little twisty rat like little mouse music box thing. They're sitting there just playing, and right when I finally found it, it stops.
Man.
Yeah.
And that happened tonight as
that
well.
happened tonight, man. Yeah. That just happened a couple hours ago. It's weird. There's just like this influx of activity. It'll just be silent for a long time, and then all of a sudden it'll just pick up. Like I heard the woman like just probably 7 months ago just start talking to me when my wife was fast asleep and there was a woman just having a conversation with me. Yeah, it's bizarre, dude.
Man, I mean,
Yeah.
I've had it before when a kid's toy's gone off at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's terrible because it shouldn't go off. It shouldn't just
Right.
go off for no reason, and it's so scary, man. So for
truly,
you to be dealing with that so often as well, man, that is
yeah.
wow.
It's very unsettling,
Yeah,
especially when it's doing things it's not supposed to do.
you
yeah.
still can't find the doll, so it could
don't know
still
where
be
the
there
doll-
somewhere.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think is it was either put back in storage, or sometimes my father-in-law will just be sick of seeing something, he'll just toss it away, and that's what I'm hoping happened. But
Man,
it's messed up, dude. It's truly messed up. But yeah, so that's where I live right now.
can I just say, I talk to people every night about their paranormal experiences, and I've heard a couple of bangs behind me, and I'm actually scared tonight.
I'm on edge.
Honestly, I don't scare very easily now because I'm so used to talking about this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But tonight I'm scared.
Just got the willies, man. I totally get it. I totally.
Getting goosebumps. This is amazing, guys.
We definitely are not your run of the mill paranormal experience guys.
It's
The stuff we
awesome.
experience is really out there, and it just shows like it's like everybody that always talks about, oh, I've had 1,000 experiences and all this. It's like I've been experiencing since I'm a child, and I'm like, great, good for you, pal. It's like we weren't even looking for it. We were just out like looking for a thrill, and then it just happened to us 9 times out of 10. Like we are those paranormal clip shows. Like everybody that just accidentally catches something, that's us. Like so much of our experiences is just like accidental. Like you know, and it's like, or it's like people are always like, why do you like when you Bigfoot hunt, why do you go after something that is absolutely could just be this? It's like, because everything could be something and it could be something else. So why not check it out? Because how many times, Jesse, has we heard, oh, well, that could have just been a deer, but then we followed that and it ended up being something much bigger or leading us to something crazier. It's like people just want to, like, all they're just looking for is their basic box stuff. And it's like, if it's not an EVP, then there's no ghost there and you're not, nothing else has happened. But well, I heard a pop. And yeah, sure, it could have been settling, but I'm just gonna go after that because 9 times out of 10, I usually get something else out of it, you know. It's the same with Bigfoot. And same with anything. It's just like pursue it, check it out, be curious about it, you know.
Yeah.
It's people need to do it more often.
Yeah, man.
We've actually come up with something we call it's just, I guess, jealousy. We would be in haunted locations and things would not be happening. So we would just sit in a room in the location we're at and we would start talking or reminiscing about haunted experiences in other places. And that place that we were in would seemingly get jealous. And all of a sudden, a little thing over here, and then a little thing over here, and all of a sudden, it'd turn into this crazy bunch of experiences. And again, it's like it kind of feeds back into that energy. If you're putting that energy in, more often than not, you're gonna get it back.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything. Like Seth said, if you hear a deer and you're like, oh, it's just a deer. Why would I care about a deer? Well, maybe that deer is walking away from something or walking towards something or a cover of something. So if you put your energy and be like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go this way, check this out. Or hey, we start noticing that there's an owl that hoots every time that we do this or do that. Every time we've chased after an owl sound on a Squatch hunt, it has turned into more.
Yeah.
That's
So
so true.
In the paranormal field, especially with it's just everywhere now. Little things don't matter. Only big things do. But you don't get the big things without the little things.
Yeah.
You can't buy a new vehicle without the little bit of saving that you do over the years. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. You have to invest your time and energy into the little things, paying attention to the little things, the details, and correlating them in your research. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be like, wow, this is my big thing. Might not be Bigfoot on camera, but it's still a big thing. Even if it's this big compared to so many other people's, wants or desires for paranormal activity.
Yeah.
And that's why we're always going to show something that could possibly be something. Like, again, it goes back to our little warning, like we're just presenting what we experience. You can take it or leave it, we don't care. It's just like the eyes that we saw, we filmed out at Saylorville back in 2012 or whenever that was. And it's like, oh, someone could just say, oh, it's just this, or it's just okay, sure. We're not saying, we're not going bam, Squatch, done, deal, that's a Squatch. No, it's like, oh, well, everybody loves lately to say, well, what if someone else is out there Squatch hunting and they're making the same calls back at you? Okay, well, good for them. I'm still going to pursue that because 9 times out of 10, it's the percentage of that happening versus actually catching a Squatch is probably more likely to happen catching a Squatch scream than being out there at the same time as someone else making this, that can make the same call I just did right back at me. Like, okay, and again, I can catch the most clear Bigfoot call in the world. I'm not going to sit there and go, boom, Squatch exists because I just caught this scream. No, we found prints, tons of different prints, just like the other day. I went out into that park looking for Squatch because of what my sister-in-law had experienced. I found a print. Very curious. Am I saying, boom, Squatch is here? No. Very curious. I'm going to start piling all the little pieces of evidence. And soon you're going to be like, okay, I can't deny that there's definitely activity here. It doesn't mean that I've got a big footprint, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
And people need to realize that when they're out hunting, and when you're also people are sitting there criticizing other people's videos and they're what they're finding and stuff like that. It's like, it's something, you know. I've watched tons of Bigfoot documentaries where they find nothing, but people still watch it. They literally find. There's one guy, he was all over. I think he was Amazon Prime for a long time. Had tons and tons of views. Literally nothing. He would capture nothing. He would have all these interesting interviews with people, and then he just go walk in the woods with nice cameras for like an hour and capture nothing, and people loved it. Okay, then you just want to hear stories, you know? And so it's like people need to quit saying, oh, well, you're not actually capturing a full body footage of Bigfoot, so you're actually not catching anything. Actually, if you talk to any Bigfoot hunters, all the stuff that we capture, especially in our documentary, stacks up. That's a lot. And you're
100%.
lucky enough to experience a lot of these people to experience this in a lifetime. And so, you know, people just got to quit being so critical of everything. And it's like, if you're going to sit out there and be like, this is what this is, if you don't think it is and you're stupid, then yeah, you deserve to be criticized. But if people are out there just being like, you know, how many people have watched Squatch Iowa and they're like, why this is stupid, like you guys have nothing, you're not showing us anything. And it's like, then you're clearly not watching this movie. You're
Yeah.
not out for true evidence, you're out for this big thrill, and that's not what we're going to give you. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to give you like the greatest evidence of all time and hope to someday, but you're never going to get that for most things, you know, unless it's a ghost show and this and that, and even then their top stuff is not even that great.
Yeah.
It's more screaming in the energy.
That's it. Well, you know, with you guys, what you see is what you get, and that's what I love about it. And it's, you know, it's real.
Heck yeah, dude. And that's what we'll always want. I do remember back, it was back in like towards the end of our heavy paranormal career, and we were like we were so used to stuff happening that when we would film, we'd be like, oh, you heard that voice? Yeah, okay. And then you just keep going.
Yeah.
And so we were like, I think the most thing we ever told is like, if you hear something, react, show us like, hey, this just happened. That's the most oomph we've ever added to ourselves, is like, because it's like nobody wants to watch somebody that's like tired of the paranormal. It's like, yes, someone just spoke in my ear. Okay, let's keep going. Like,
Yeah.
it had become that point where we literally would, like, someone would touch us or slap us or anything, and be like, hey, I just got slapped. It's just like, you know, at that point for film, it's like you gotta at least say, hey, I just got slapped, like, you know,
Yeah.
not like begging style, but yeah, there's definitely some energy you want to give into it, because I feel like if you put a little bit of energy into it, it's gonna give it back tenfold. If you're going in like so many, I'm not hating, but there's so many investigators out there that just go in and they're like, can you speak into this speaker? Can you say something? And then they just sit there for like an hour in silence. Okay, can you? And it's like, dude, no, why are you showing us? Great, you're investigating. If that's how you do it, awesome. But nobody wants to watch you then. You know? So there's a fine line. You gotta be real, but you also have to show like how excited you are about.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to put on a fake show, but you also want to show like your passion. Let your passion show through, and that's what I think we do.
Yeah,
Is
for
we're
sure.
real, and we exude our passion for what we do, because it's like the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, that was a ramble.
That transcend anything that we do, whether it's my personal YouTube channel, whether it's Squatch Iowa, whether it's Haunted Iowa. It feels a certain way because we're not trying to be something that we're not. We're not trying to present a product that we don't believe in. You know, it's all about. Let me preface it like this. When I was in high school, I hated having to like read a paragraph in class in front of everybody. I hated speech class when I was in college. But when I became a ghost hunter and started doing events and doing public speaking events, dude, I can talk in front of hundreds of people. Yeah, I'll be nervous, but it's because I care about the topic that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But dude, I can get up there and just go, 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 because I'm passionate about it, because I have energy about it. I have emotion invested into that. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing. Like, listen, if you want to go and you want to make a paranormal show with everything that's at your fingertips in today's world, great, go do it. However, just like you research, we hope you're researching the paranormal and understanding it for what it is. You also need to understand production. Just like when you started this podcast, Tommy, you needed to learn the value of production,
Yeah.
the value of good quality sound, good quality video, good quality guests, et cetera, et cetera. You're not just on here with your cell phone recording your voice and holding it up to a phone and putting that out as your podcast. You're just not, because no one wants to listen to that.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
because you don't care or you want to be famous or whatever. It's because, listen, if I'm going to invest my time into this, I want it to be quality and I want it to evoke an emotional response.
100%. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
You want to give.
No, go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say you want to give it your all, and you want it to be the best that it can be.
Right. And it's like okay, if you want to convince somebody to watch a movie or a TV show, right? You're not going to sit there and just be like, I mean, it's good. You just, there's action and whatever. You're going to be like, dude, like, it's so awesome. Like, there's this amazing twists and there's turns and there, it grips you and it gets you. And it's like I'm going to take somebody, our films is all about showing, proving that this stuff exists, right? So it's like, it's the same as like, I'm going to take my skeptic buddies out Bigfoot hunting. I'm not going to be like, yeah, this is what we do. We just walk out here, we shout, oh, did you hear that crack over there? Yeah, there might be something, It's like, no, we're like, dude, like, are you hearing this right now? Like, are you experiencing, like, you want them to want to be there with you, and you want them to want to follow along, and you don't want to oversaturate, like, with production, with your on-screen presence, with the screaming and the overacting and the jumping around in like 1,000 little overlays and special effects and reenactments and all that crap. Don't like get yourself lost in the passion, if you will, but like you got to find that fine line. And that's why I'm just like, we want to be raw, real, but we also want you to want to come along with us. It's like nobody wants to watch your home videos, but someone wants to watch you. Like, they'll watch a video of a tour guide taking you through a place because they're passionate about that place and they're knowledgeable. That's what people want to watch. They don't want to watch you just like Jesse's vlogs. He's very animated and energetic, and that's what I try to do when I do vlogs. And it's like, you don't want to just be drolled. No one wants to watch that.
For sure. Energy is so important.
It is.
I believe the energy you put out is the energy you get back.
Absolutely.
I think there's something to that.
And that's why I think we always had really good luck with ghosts and even Bigfoot, because we always went in with very energetic and charismatic, and they like see that and they're like, ooh, I want to feed on that energy. I want a piece of that. And that's why I think, like, you get those certain people together, and then you get other people, which we've watched, where it's just like this, this guy's about as fun as watching paint dry, and just literally nothing happens because he doesn't care. He doesn't want to be there. He has no energy. And the ghosts aren't going to waste time, or whatever's not going to waste time using his energy, because they want to show somebody who is actually trying to see it, and whatever. Again, opinion. Whoever's watching this is probably like, this dude.
No, man, no, for sure. I've been watching you guys for years, and I love your work. So I recommend anyone that's not seen your stuff to get on it, because it is awesome.
Thanks, buddy. We truly appreciate it, man. We're
You're
trying.
welcome.
We got more coming. Haunted Iowa 2, which has been the creation of over a decade's worth of footage. I hope to God to have it out by the end of the year. And then Empire State Bigfoot, which is very passionate about. That's a film I've been working on for the past, ever since I moved out here almost. about Bigfoot activity around New York. And
Awesome, man.
so yeah, those are the two big films we got coming down the pike, and we always have little stuff we're working on and whatnot. So yeah, so excited to get some more stuff done.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm excited to see that, guys, for sure. This has been amazing having you guys on the show tonight. It's very surreal. Like, obviously, I feel like I've known you for years, and I've been watching you for years, and it's so great that we're like, this is happening now. I still can't get my head around it, to be honest. But
Dude, it's been a
awesome,
pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. As I
Oh,
said,
absolutely.
you guys are welcome on. Let's get freaky anytime. And this is not going to be the last time you're on the show for sure.
Oh, dude.
No,
please,
dude, we have so many stories, like shared experiences. Like,
oh yeah.
we could just entire episode about Farrar, an entire episode about Velisca, an entire episode
Let's do it, man. Let's do
about
it.
that.
Dude,
Let's do it.
We absolutely need to do more. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I can't wait. I cannot wait, guys. I think we've been going for over 2 hours tonight. I think we've gone over
right
2
on.
hours.
Found that 2-hour mark. Yep.
Yeah, man. I want to thank you guys so much and keep doing what you're doing. I love you both. You
Love
are
you, buddy.
awesome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Can you tell the listeners where they can find you? Both of you.
Absolutely. CCPI TV on YouTube is going to find all of our documentaries, videos, and we delve into not only ghosts, obviously Bigfoot, other cryptid lore, and we've also delved into urbexing and anything just creepy and things that just I know is to the audience of the CCPI TV folk. You got to check it out. We have so many videos stretching the past 13 years, I think. And then I have a personal vlog channel that's Ready Seth Go on YouTube, and I plan on getting some more footage on there, but I do have a little library of vlogs and stuff you can check out, and some more stuff coming soon.
Awesome.
And as you all know, It's Only on YouTube, as well as It's Only Burps on YouTube. And if you're into the Instagram world, it's_only on Instagram. Don't really do Twitter much. I'm on there, but don't follow me. It's not worth it.
He doesn't mean that.
I retweet my favorite band. I might say something to Tommy or retweet a Vikings tweet, but that's pretty much it.
Oh, and check out, you don't have to check out my personal Instagram. It's a Yawnathon, but check out the Urbex Vibes on Instagram. I do urban exploration photography. So check that out. Give me a follow. I have a lot of fun doing that stuff. So appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. I will share your links in the show description so people can find you easily. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'm looking forward to doing it again, man.
Heck yeah,
Yes.
man. We appreciate it, buddy. We do. True.
Always an
We'll finish with a skull. Skull
Skull
Vikings,
Bowl.
baby. Let's go.
Win tomorrow.
Let's get that Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yes.
Woo! Thank you so much, brothers. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Kirko Chains,
Go,
baby.
Coach James, baby. Golly.
Golly.
Love you, brothers.
Love you, buddy.